Hey everyone, welcome back to a live episode of the award-winning Legends of Sport podcast. I'm your host, Andy Bernstein. Folks, today we're coming to you live from the 2026 NBA All-Star Week in downtown Los Angeles, where the NBA Summer League and the Sports Business Classroom are bringing together an impressive amount of legendary players, top executives, and exciting events leading up to the All-Star Game on Sunday. We had a blast chatting with this week's guests, and we hope that you'll enjoy these conversations as much as we did from the 2026 NBA All-Star Week. And as always, I'll see you on the backside. Well, here we are in sunny Southern California. Not really, but I'm here at Sports Business Classroom kicking off NBA All-Star Weekend with a friend of mine that I've known. You and I just figured out we've known each other 32 years.
How about that?
Right? Going back to 1994, the great Tommy Sheppard. Thanks for stopping by Legends of Sports set, my friend.
My friend, it is such an honor to be here. I was telling somebody I get a chance to sit with the best shooter in NBA history today.
Sorry, Reggie. And
Ray
Allen,
I told Curry,
hey,
Curry, you'll always be my second best shooter in the NBA. Andrew Bernstein, number one shooter, because he's only done it 17 years. You've done it 40 plus.
Yeah, you know, I hung up the cameras and not looking back, but enjoying this role and enjoying what's going on here at Sports Business Classroom. Tommy, talk about like how you got involved with all of this Sports Business Classroom.
You know, when it first started at Summer League, the first year that they put it on, I dipped in there because, you know, when you're always out scouting talent, it can't just be players, it can't just be coaches.
Right.
We hired so many people from there. So I always wanted to be wherever young people were, get an opportunity to see who are some of the up-and-coming talented people. And we hired from SBC, but I love making myself available, sharing stories, trying to encourage people. Because it can be a dark place sometimes trying to get into this new business. Nobody knows how to get in, who's the gatekeepers, and you just try to calm people down and say, look, every opportunity doesn't always look like a big bow tied around it. A lot of opportunities don't look like very good, and that's where you should go to. Those are the best ones.
Sometimes, yeah, you're right. You know, let's go back to the beginning of your career, right? So you grew up in Albuquerque. You went to New Mexico State.
Yep.
All of a sudden, tell me how you got hired originally by the Denver Nuggets. How'd that happen?
You know what's crazy? I started out when I left New Mexico State. My first job, my first stop was at UNLV.
Oh,
I was an assistant sports information director. I was there with Coach Tarkanian.
Oh, my God. I did a story on him once. It's like, I'm still recovering, but that's a whole other thing.
And I guarantee that story was true, whatever it was.
You been to the house that he had with the statues?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it literally looked like Caligula was going
like
on
big
over
fat
there.
Greek wedding, huh? But yeah, so I was there 91 to 94. I was with Coach Tarkanian who won a national championship, and I was with Rolly Massimino who won a national championship. But that's what the circle in my life, the through line is the relationships. My first guy I met at UNLV was Tim Gergerich, and then when Coach Mass came in, the next guy I met that was very close with was Jay Wright.
Wow!
So it's amazing
That's
how
a great lineage right there, man.
The world keeps spinning.
Yeah.
So I got to the Denver Nuggets in '94 as the PR director.
But they hired you out of college to be the PR director?
From UNLV.
There's a couple of like steps up the ladder.
I was 3 years out of college, so I got to UNLV. Then the Denver Nuggets came calling my third year out of college. It was wonderful. I think they knew where they were coming from. Tim Lewicki was there, Bernie Bickerstaff. That they wanted to grow together and get somebody that was ready to go, and it was great. One of the best breaks ever.
Tim Lewicki was my boss across the street. He literally built Staples Center back in the day in '99.
It's incredible.
Great, one of the great guys, by the way. I love Tim. So you're at the Denver Nuggets. You're playing in McNichols Arena.
Yes, sir.
Which, you know, was kind of a dump. You know, you and I both know. But it was one of those like nice dumps, like the LA Sports Arena. You know, the old Boston Garden at Chicago Stadium.
When you don't know what else to call it, you call it charming, right? We called the plumber and said, "Come fix this toilet," and they never showed up. It was tough.
They're probably still waiting. Yeah. So Tommy, you know, you were in the league for a long time. I mean, '94 you broke in. You went from Denver, then you went to Washington, right?
Yes, sir.
So you made a big jump. I mean, I'm trying to rack my brain to think how many PR directors that I know went from being the PR director to actually being the assistant GM. You know, in the front office, then the GM and president. Are you one of a kind? I mean, seriously, I don't know.
There's a few of us out there. Dave Griffin was able to do, and you know what? I never got hung up on titles. Okie City's got the title. Like you don't care. You just want the responsibility, and you want to be. You know, you tend in this business. We have so many wonderful people in common, and you know, you collect people, but really our job is to connect people. And I think that was what my superpower is, probably connecting people, and I enjoy that.
Well, yes, but one of the other superpowers was that you always such a great people person.
Yeah.
And I remember when you were PR director, and then moving up into the front office in a different capacity, you're always so approachable and always so nice. And I was a pain in the ass. I know when I worked, and a lot of people like sort of gave me a wide berth, but you were always, I think, a little entertained by my moxie a little bit. I don't know.
The NBA, you're allowed to see so much talent, and the players every day will blow you away. But not too many of those people realize how the game is produced, how people see it is through your lens.
Yeah.
And I never took that for granted. Like, this is like seeing, hey, I didn't meet Michelangelo, but I can meet some artists and I can meet some people who your work is on every kid's wall that loves basketball. Like, that's unbelievable. And what I think your biggest superpower to me is all the great people you grew up. You brought up all these young photographers, and your legacy continues through them.
Thank you, Tommy. And that brings me back to what we first started talking about Sports Business Classroom. That the mission really is to nurture this next generation across the board. I mean, you could be, interested in the salary cap. You could be interested in player personnel. You could be interested in media, whatever. This thing brings everybody together. And, I love it. I was able to stop by a little bit in Vegas over the summer during Summer League. But now to have it here, kicking off All-Star Weekend, right in the middle of downtown L.A., I mean, I'm sure people are coming up to you and wanting to pick your brain, and like myself, I think we're willing to give whatever knowledge we have.
Absolutely. And I'm so appreciative of the kids that have that thirst to come and meet and learn. And, I tell people, this is just like a supermarket. There's something for everybody here. You take the time and invest your patience and really take the time to learn the business of the business you want to be in. It's all here for you.
Yeah. One last question. Okay, so before we started the interview, you started telling me about some of the finals that you worked under the tutelage of the great Brian McIntyre and Terry Lyons and Chris Brienza and all our good friends. Give me one or two of your most favorite memories from one of those finals that you worked.
Well, I think your favorite memories tend to be the ones that don't happen out on the floor. Obviously, being there for Michael's last shot in Utah was unbelievable. But there's Tim Hallam, who was the PR director with the Bulls at the time.
Yeah.
A couple possessions before that, they didn't think the Bulls were going to win that game. And Tim, if you can remember, was a little bit. He was a little nervous.
Yeah.
And sure enough, here comes around the corner. Guy's got a cart full of champagne, cases of champagne, and Tim Hallam turned around and said, "You get the hell out of here with that." And the guy started leaving, and I watched Malone get stripped, and I grabbed the guy with the champagne. I said, "Come back."
That's a good one. I haven't heard that one. Yeah, because they very well could have lost that game, and that would have been the end of it. I mean, the dagger, that 0.6, right?
It's unbelievable.
And, we produce at NBA Photos as a group. We credit each other for making that photo, that iconic photo, which we'll show on the podcast. I technically didn't shoot it because I didn't push the button, but I pushed the trigger button, which Fernando Medina was a human remote, which we'll explain at some point, but actually captured that down-court photo.
Unbelievable.
And it really proved the hard work that we had all put in for 2 years to develop this system of these remote cameras came to fruition. So thank God it worked, because if it didn't, we probably wouldn't be sitting here today.
I promise you would. There's no doubt in my mind if anybody could pull it off as your group. And I do ask one favor of you. Tonight you're going to host a dinner with all the NBA photographers. And I want you to buy a bottle of wine, put it on my tab. Please toast all those people. Tell them I said hello. You have some of the most fantastic people I ever met in the business.
Thank you. But, it takes a very cliche, it takes a village. And when we photographers come in the arena, we depend on people like yourself to be welcoming and let us do our jobs and sometimes push the envelope a little bit. And some, let's leave it at this, that some arenas and some personnel are not as welcoming as others. You, my friend, always welcoming. I wish I had spent more time in Washington shooting. I mean, I did come through quite a few times during the Shaq and Kobe era. And it was always a great place to work, man. So I got to thank you. Thank you for being a good friend.
Absolutely.
Thank you for stopping by.
Enjoy.
And freezing out here, but I appreciate it, Tommy.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, man. All right, we are here with Boki Nachbar. Did I get the last name right?
Perfect.
Okay, first name, I'm going to butcher it.
It's very difficult. Boštjan, it's originally, but it's very typical Slovenian name.
Yeah.
and that's why I go by Boki. Well, not me. I didn't give myself that nickname. That's been since I was a kid. I was called Boki, and it stuck with me all my life.
Yeah. I think Boki's good.
I think so.
So, Boki, you're here at Sports Business Classroom. I saw your talk earlier. Was really fascinating. You know, with you're talking about the ELPA, the EuroLeague Players Association, and possible expansion of the NBA into Europe, the EuroLeague. It was really fascinating for me to hear about the difference in fan perspective in Europe with team loyalty as opposed to in the U.S. You know, can you talk about that with me? Because I experienced that a couple of times, more than a couple of times, when I went over to Europe to shoot McDonald's Open. It used to be Madison McDonald's Championship. I don't even know if they have it anymore. But it's a different vibe over there, man. I mean, the fans are pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's much different. And I want to be very clear. I'm not talking about better or worse or good or bad, right? It's just different.
Yeah.
Many different things about European basketball are different than what people are used to here in the States. And one of them is how fans perceive the game, how they follow the game, and how they support their teams, right? There's a lot of passion involved, a lot of history. You know, you have those sports clubs who've been existing for, in some cases, 100 years now, right? So it's decades and generations of families who've been members and fans of those clubs, and of course you build that love for the team, for the club in the city. You know, it's much different than what you know here.
It was interesting because you said it's not really as much about making money for the owners, the ownership, or even the sponsors. It's really about the team loyalty for the fans.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it's slowly now shifting towards a more profitable model, if I say it like this. But historically, teams have been losing money just to win.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a completely different perspective and perception of professional sports.
Yeah.
Right? In the States, you have professional sports. Of course, the competition part, but it's to make money and to have jobs and to grow the game and everything around it. In Europe, it's so much more about the passion, the competition, and winning, right? It's all about winning that one championship that you can brag for forever, basically.
Yeah. So, you know, I think all of us here worked for the NBA for decades, and the fans want to know, are we going to see real NBA teams in Europe one day? I mean, like a division of the NBA, I don't know what. I mean, the travel thing is kind of a prohibitive, but you know, Adam Silver has thrown out a couple of ideas. What's your take?
I mean, to have a division where teams would, on a weekly basis, travel to Europe, I think we're still probably decades from that. We need some, like Adam Silver mentioned, like supersonic flights or something like this.
That's starting to come back, though.
Right. But even with that, like, it's time difference, and players' bodies would probably have difficulty adjusting to different time zones and so on. But anyways, I mean, what there's been a lot of talk lately is NBA establishing a separate league in Europe, and I think that's very much going to happen. I know from people I talk to are very serious about this now. How soon it's going to happen and how exactly it's going to look like is still up in the air. But you know, from Europeans' perspective, it's definitely an exciting time. And on one hand, you know, the basketball in Europe should get preserved, and the passion and fan loyalty cannot be lost. But on the other, the expertise and the experience and the talent that NBA brings in the media world, and the you know, how to generate revenue and how to put TV rights together and all this, that's what we need kind of in order to grow the game in Europe. Yeah.
Well, hopefully one day we'll see it in one shape or form. And the Women's League too, because I've heard different things about that. So growing up in Slovenia, and you came along way after the first wave of the Europeans came into the NBA, which I was there when it happened. Sabonis and Petrovic and Marciulionis and all those guys. And then I would say the second wave probably was Pau Gasol. And who did you put yourself in the NBA growing up? Like, did you say, that's where I want to go, that's where I want to play?
I honestly, I did.
Yeah?
and one of the probably millions of kids did that. I was one of the lucky ones to actually achieve that dream.
Yeah.
But early on, I when I first saw the first games I saw of the NBA were, I believe it was 91 championship Lakers Bulls, right? That was the 91,
Sure.
right? That's the first one, right?
How old were you in 91?
11. So
Okay.
that was the first games that I could see and would record them on the old Betamax, so pre-VHS even, like tapes, and I would watch, I think I had like one game out of the whole series, like game 3 that I had, and I probably watched the games hundreds of times, just watch over and over again.
Yeah.
And then of course, Dražen went there, Petrovic, right? So he had success, and then we saw Tony Kukoc with the Bulls. Right? That was the big one. And that's where we just were getting up at night and watching games live on 3, 4 a.m. and
unbelievable.
And that's how we grew up watching that. And we, I mean, myself and so many others who fell in love with the NBA and what it brings and what it means against playing with and against the best players, and that's what I was chasing in my young career.
That's amazing. Who are your favorite players growing up? Like, who did you model your game after?
I mean, Tony Kukoc was one of them. For sure. Kind of had always tried to play similarly than him. I was a tall forward myself, and he was one of the guys. From NBA, I always liked guys that were versatile. They could do many things. Grant Hill, Scottie Pippen, and so on. Those guys were the ones that I really enjoyed watching. Peja Stojakovic was the guy, that came in, great shooter. So, many different players that I tried to learn from, and it was incredible experience to not just watch them on TV, but to play against some of those guys. That was special.
Incredible. So you were drafted by the Houston Rockets in 2002. So how old were you in 2002?
I just turned 22 in that summer.
And you had been a pro since you were 15, you said.
Yeah, I played my first pro game when I was 15.
That's crazy.
It's a different life in Europe.
But so I remember when Tony Kukoc came in and the hazing he got from his teammates, okay? I mean, he was called the Michael Jordan of Europe.
Yeah.
It was pretty tough to come to play with the actual Michael Jordan with that nickname.
For sure.
Did you feel like you had to prove something when you came to Houston, or, what was that experience like?
It was a completely different time than what people, the players experience nowadays. And by that, I mean, I came to the NBA, that second wave, like you said, Pau Gasol, Tony Parker, and Dirk Nowitzki year or two before that, and Manu Ginobili and all that. Pre-internet, pre-YouTube, pre-Instagram, whatever we have nowadays, right? So even though I had a lot of success in Europe early on, won under 20 European Championship with Slovenia, played in one of the best teams in Europe in Benetton, went to EuroLeague Final Four, played starting five as a 19, 20-year-old kid, played for Mike D'Antoni.
Yes, of course.
Coming to Europe, nobody knew who I was. If a kid today has all these achievements in Europe, like, people here will know who he is coming in. So I had to really prove myself, starting day one in practice in Houston, because those guys didn't care where I come from or who I am. And I was a skinny European kid trying to make it, right? So it was not easy, and it took me probably a year and a half to really crack the rotation and play in the NBA.
Who was the coach? Who was your coach?
Rudy Tomjanovic was.
Oh, Rudy
there.
was, of course.
And then he stepped down. After the first season, and Coach Jeff Van Gundy came in.
Jeff came in.
Completely different mindset, right?
Yeah.
So I had to adjust not just to the NBA game, but to different coach year to year, because they were as different as coaches can be. And that was not easy. I learned a ton from Jeff, and always appreciated him being really hard on me as a young player, which helped me later in my career.
Well, and was Yao on your team?
Yeah, I was there, yeah.
So, because I photographed, I came down a lot to Houston, and my good friend Billy Baptiste was the Rockets photographer, still my good friend. Spent some time with Yao, who was a character. People don't really know what a wonderful person Yao is. I mean, the heart of gold, but a competitor, and the fact that his career was cut short because of the foot problems, it's really a tragedy, honestly.
Yeah, but not just that, which you mentioned, which is completely true, but also the pressure that he carried. I lived that, because he was first pick of the first round pick, and I was 15. Yeah. So we both got to the Rockets at the same time.
Boy, there was so much hype.
Yeah, and both international players and the media that was following him, and then soon I realized the pressure that he is under, the whole country of China watching him, right? This one thing that is going to bring Chinese basketball on the map. So people don't realize the amount of pressure he had on his shoulders.
There's only like 3 billion people watching it.
Right.
Were you on the team when we went to Beijing? And we did the team.
The Kings?
Well, with the King, you were with the Kings then.
I was playing. We were playing against the Kings.
Yes, but you were with the Rockets.
I was with the Rockets.
And we
correct.
did that insane team photo in front of the Mao thing, the Mao portrait.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was the most stress I'd ever had in my life. We were the first Western sports organization to shut down Tiananmen Square. People don't believe that, but it was that was pretty.
And then going to see the Great Wall of China. And,
that was crazy.
And seeing great Dikembe Mutombo trying to ride a camel. Just
and the Kings were the other side of that. I mean, they were just sort of tagging along, for the Yao show, basically. But that was unbelievable. So you made a decision to go back to Europe to play, right? Obviously, it sounded like from your presentation earlier that was a conscious decision that you wanted to end your career in Europe.
Yeah, it wasn't the plan all along. When I was 28, so 2008, the European basketball market really offered some incredible opportunities, contractual speaking, and I was one of the players. I was not the only one. There was many players who returned that year. And kind of stayed in Europe for the next couple of years, had some options to come back to the NBA. Never seriously considered it, and just kind of remained, played in Moscow, played in Istanbul, then ended up my career in Spain. I still live in Barcelona.
Okay. Do you hang out with Pau every once in a while?
Once in a while, I'll run into him, but he's all over the place.
He's unbelievable.
So it's
I love
difficult.
that guy.
But yeah, so I ended my career in Europe, and it was what I always say is, like, I was really lucky because I played in some of the most amazing cities, if I think about it. So started my career, lived just outside Venice in Italy, Treviso, then played in Houston, then New Orleans, the Hornets, lived in New York, lived in Moscow, Istanbul, Barcelona. Like, the amount of people you'll meet and cultures and religions that you kind of experience, it's what it's all about.
Amazing. Yeah, you mentioned Mike D'Antoni earlier. So I was with the Suns in 2006 when the Suns, coached by Mike, went to Treviso to train. And it was like literally like a returning god. I mean, I think they have a statue to Mike in the middle of the city.
He's worshipped in many places, including Milan, I think, in places that he played as a player and then later had success as a coach. I mean, he's one of the most beloved American, let's say, players/coaches that lived in Europe or played in Europe or coached in Europe.
Well, a crazy story. He was on, I believe he was on Treviso on the team when the first McDonald's Open was called against the Celtics. I think it was 1988. I don't even know.
I think they might have been on with Milan.
Maybe it was Milan. Yeah. But I have a photo of him at center court exchanging flags and stuff. It's insane. But, Mike is up for the Hall of Fame this year. I really am pulling for him because I just think he's just so deserving. And everything he did for USA Basketball as well. So hopefully, you get a little vibe from Legends of Sport for Mike going out here. You mentioned you have 2 daughters. Do they play?
Yeah, they play. My oldest actually lives here in the States.
Nice.
She's in Ohio, goes to a Western Reserve Academy, is a promising basketball player, great student. So she insisted for years. She's like, Dad, you got to let me go to play high school basketball. And I always said, when college comes, and we just gave in with my wife, and we decided. She's super happy. The youngest plays in Barcelona where we live, and she's gonna go, I think, the same route. So they love basketball, and it's great to see them love the game and to play. It's all about it's about that enjoyment and that fun that comes with it.
Well, it's in the blood. Hey, last thing I want to ask you about is Sports Business Classroom. You're here. You're giving your time. You're sharing with the students. Everybody is just so tuned in to the sport of basketball, but everything business related, which is really amazing. It's very few opportunities that people who really want to aspire into our game are given. And, Albert and everyone associated with Sports Business Classroom, do an amazing job. What do you personally get out of being here?
I mean, first of all, I was a student of the SBC as well. Like, when I ended my career, and I think it was a COVID year when they did a lot of online stuff. Like, I attended a lot of things, and I passed the CBA certification, and learned about salary cap, which is kind of trickling down to European basketball now, and all that. So firstly, I was a student before I was up on stage.
I didn't know that.
And now, being on the other side, just trying to help the new generation of people trying to break into the industry is, from my point of view, is explaining to everybody, hey, this is global. Don't focus only on U.S. continent, on the NBA. Think broadly. The game is super connected. I mentioned the statistics here.
Yeah.
During the presentation, like 1/3 of EuroLeague, best league in Europe, is American players.
Wow.
30% or just around of players in the NBA are international.
Yeah.
That tells you a lot.
Yeah.
How great game has grown. So
Yes.
people who try to break into the industry, I always tell them, like, keep an open mind, because opportunities are not just here. They can be anywhere.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. I photographed you. I saw you on the court. Probably have some pictures of mine out there somewhere, maybe hanging in your house. I don't know. But I was so intrigued by everything you shared earlier, and the fact that you're so invested in this next generation. And I try to be too. I'm retired off the court just like you are, but it's a different way. And it's very important for me for the craft of photography, but also for our sport to be paying it forward. Yeah. So, kudos to Warren and Albert and everyone from Sports Business Classroom. But thanks for joining me today, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Back here at the Sports Business Classroom, across the street from LA Live, kicking off NBA All-Star Weekend here in LA. I got Bobby Marks here from ESPN. Bobby, so fascinating. I got to tell you, I haven't sat in the Sports Business Classroom before. I'm actually learning stuff 45 years into working for the NBA. It's crazy.
Well, it's this is the first year we've done the All-Star version of it. I've been involved 2 years in Las Vegas to do the summer portion, which is basically this on steroids.
Yeah.
And it's when Warren, Legary, and Albert Hall reached out to me about 3 summers ago about taking on this. I was like, no way.
Not going to work.
I was
like,
it's free agency. Yeah. I can't. And then I said, you know what, let me come out and let me look at what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I sat through a couple sessions, and I said, I think this is something I want to do. I think we all get to a point in our life or a career. I'm working with the Nets for 20 years, and this is year 10 of ESPN, where you get to, you start to have to give back a little bit here.
Yeah.
And this is my way of giving back to the youth or students, and maybe some people who are in their 40s and are looking to make a career change, and how they kind of can break into sports and kind of lead them in the right direction.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I mean, all the instructors, you're the lead instructor, but all the instructors that are here, giving of their time, their expertise, really helping the next generation of executives that are going to be in our business for the game we love. I do the same thing with the young photographers, and I love it. Now that I'm off the court, put the cameras away, I can really devote myself to not only to Legends of Sport, but to what we're all about, and that's getting our game to the next level and leaving it in good hands.
Well, I think that's the most important thing. I think, especially the salary cap and the nuances and how roster building. It's like I always go back to. I always tell the students here the story, like I love numbers, but I was terrible at math. So I wasn't a great student, but I can, I kind of do like, I can hustle a little bit here. I love teaching. I love talking about the salary cap. I love talking about how rosters are built and the draft and free agency and making numbers fun. That's the end goal here. That I joke with a lot of them. I said, because I say, whenever, if you email me, I will respond to everyone. My wife's like, why do you respond to I say I do because I want, 15 years I want one of those cushy consulting jobs working for them. But I do love being involved at Sports Business Classroom. It's been a great week so far, and we'll have a couple more days here, but it's something that I really look forward to doing.
Yeah, you brought up the salary cap, which a lot of fans, they hear that and they don't really know what it is, or they don't know how it's constructed. Recently I sat down with my good friend, your good friend Andy Ellisberg in Miami. Yeah. Who's kind of like the Yoda.
Oh, he's the smartest man.
Right.
He's the smartest man out there.
I mean, I think he was the first guy who really understood the salary cap and helped construct that Miami Heat team, the championship level. What does it take, Bobby? I mean, there's so much to know, and then so many intangibles that have to be factored in when you're thinking about a roster. How do you do it?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I got in '95, and I always say that the CBA, that's kind of like the Olympics. It's every 4 or 5, every 4 years here. Yeah. So for me, I was fortunate to get in and then use the 95 CBA, and then use it, like, then we had a 99 was the lockout, and then we kept on adding different layers to it, and it's kind of building a house. So if you have the foundation to add off of, when the rules get changed, you can kind of adjust with that. Now, the challenge, the biggest challenge, and Andy I've talked about, was 2011.
Yes.
Like the 2011 CBA, when we had a lockout and negotiations got done right around Thanksgiving, and then the season started around
Christmas Day across the street. Literally Christmas Day
and
game.
The league said to us, hey, we got a new deal. We're going to get on a call on Tuesday, and we're going to start free agency on Thursday. And Andy and I always joke about that, and like, are you kidding me?
That was wild. I know.
I would always say, like, none of us are ever experts, but we can at least decipher it as easy as possible. Now, my job in the media is a lot different than Andy Ellisberg and Mike Zarin and like some of these other teams, because I have to go on TV and talk about the apron and really try to make it interesting so people like to learn about it. And I always say this. When I started at ESPN, Nicole Briscoe, who does TV, she does SportsCenter at night, we were doing a segment, and they always say, like, hey, I need 45 seconds, your best stuff. And we're talking about bird rights. Bird rights is probably one of the more important rules, where basically allows you to exceed the salary cap to retain your free agent. Well, I'm talking about bird rights, and she, after we get done, she pulls me aside and said, people have no idea what you just said.
I actually wrote down here, what are bird rights? Seriously, I've been hearing it for 30 years.
That's the same, like the apron. The apron is the big word, right? Like everyone says the apron rule is the CBA, and I always get offended. Like it's like my own, they're talking about my son at home. And so the apron, and I went on Dan Patrick's show. And Dan said to me, if I was in 4th grade, how would you explain the apron to me? And what I would say to you, Dan, is I said, you have 10 toys right now. I'm going to come in and tell you to pick your 4 favorite and give me the other 6. That's the apron, where it's prioritizing certain players on your roster that you can keep. And as I said, like the rich. Basically, there was really a couple teams. The rich can't get richer. It prioritizes you to be more strategy. Certainly, there was more restrictions as far as how you can add to your roster here, but that's the end goal, is really to kind of simplify some of these rules here. Yeah,
it's unbelievable. You were speaking earlier with Sean Farnham about going from bad to good. And there's so many examples. I mean, OKC, they were really good. They went to the finals. The big 3 left. And then they were not so good, and then they end up with SGA, and they hoisted the banner this year as champion. Last year, San Antonio, same thing, a history, all those banners up, and then they hit the bottom. Then they got Wemby, right? I'm thinking about the University of Indiana football team. I'm thinking about the Patriots. They go from Tom Brady's rings to nothing. But the turnaround is not just by chance.
No.
It's by building the roster, getting those draft picks, making key trades, right?
Well, and it's patience.
Yeah, it's patience.
I mean, that's the biggest thing. I think what we see sometimes, and I lived through it in New Jersey. We went to the playoffs 6 or 7 years in a row. We, of course, played the Lakers that one year, and then San Antonio the next year, and then we're, a second-round team, and then we kind of hit rock bottom, and then we went 12-70. And now you're like, all right, we're going to build. We're going to build through the draft. And then you build through the draft, and you're 20-62, and then you're like, you know what? We're going to wave the white flag, and we're going to go out and add players in trades, and we're going to sacrifice draft picks, and we're going to do all these different things. That's the biggest thing. I think we've seen it a little bit more this year, where I don't recall a past trade deadline where 3 teams that are going to be in the lottery. Indiana's a different story because of the Halliburton injury, and they're kind of a gap year team. Where they went out and made, they think they traded like 7 first-round picks between them, with Washington with AD and Trae Young. They had 2 guys, and Zubac in Indiana, and then Jaren Jackson Jr. in Utah. And a lot of it is for next year. But those teams, as you know, they've been not Indiana, but the other 2 have been rebuilding here. And you just get to a point to be like, hey, we need to go out. The timing right now is right. And I always say, people say, well, how do trades come about? And a lot of it's based on circumstances, based on where you are with your rebuild. And I think that's kind of what both those teams did. Incredible. I just couldn't believe the turnaround that OKC had, really, because SGA came to them
for practically nothing.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
well, and what else came?
Yeah.
I mean, you got Jalen Williams
Yeah,
also with one of those
exactly.
picks, and
Yeah.
the crazy thing with Oklahoma City is that they have the Clipper pick this year,
Right.
and they have a Clipper pick swaps with them. Like it's
Yeah. Yeah.
it's coming.
It's
there's
amazing.
more stuff coming.
So I just want to talk about one last thing, which
Yeah.
you mentioned inside, and I wasn't going to talk about it, but you brought it up.
Oh, Kobe.
So 96 draft as a scrawny teenager from Lower Merion that you bring into the Nets to work them out.
So I'll rewind the clock back to February, March of '96.
Okay.
So I had just started. I did 2 internships with the Nets. One was in PR, one was in basketball ops. Willis Reed was my GM, and state playoffs, PA. I come from a football background, really not a basketball background, and he said to me, "Hey, hop on Amtrak, go down to 30th Street Station in Philly, get on get in a taxi and go out to, I think it was like LaSalle or Drexel.
Right.
There's the Pennsylvania State Tournament going on, and I've heard that there's some really young player who's going to possibly declare for this draft playing at Lower Merion.
Right.
I did that. I walked into this packed gym, and I see number 30, the maroon jersey, and I'm back then. Everything was handwritten, in a notepad or note cards, and I go back to Willis the next day, and he goes, "What'd you see?"
Yeah.
I go, "I think I saw something pretty special." Now, fast forward to the draft workouts.
Yes.
We hired John Calipari, coming off of UMass, 34-year-old.
My alma mater, by the way, UMass.
Took him to the Final Four that year.
Yeah.
And the trend was college coaches to the NBA. Patino in Boston, but not just coaches, presidents, head of operations and everything.
Yeah.
So we have the 8th pick, I want to say, in the draft that year. Cal is our first-year coach, and we bring in Kobe. Back then, practice facilities were not as they are now.
Yeah.
We were renting hourly, by the hour, space at Fairleigh Dickinson Teaneck.
Oy.
So we were like, our workout, we were like 2 to 4. Okay, tomorrow morning we're 10, 12. Well, girls volleyball has it that then. Okay, this is when we're going to.
The cheerleaders are coming in.
So we would Kobe would come on. He'd take Amtrak up. I'd pick him up.
Yeah.
And we'd go over there. Now, the difference back in '96 is that, well, I think those were the rules. Maybe we just made up the rules. That you were allowed to work out your own players.
Oh.
If they were in the league 3 years or less against draft prospects.
Okay.
That is not allowed now.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
So Kobe worked out against Ed O'Bannon.
Okay.
UCLA.
Sure.
And Khalid Reeves, Arizona.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And kicked their rear end.
Yeah.
Like to the point where like, oh my God. And then Kobe went back. We brought him back again. And I think we worked him out 3 times. Arn Tellem got mad at me because I flew him back. I was doing travel also. I flew him back and coached in the middle seat. So I got the wrath of, maybe that was why he didn't want to come here. I got the wrath of Arn on me. And then we have our draft meetings. This is our guy.
Yeah.
We're going to pick, we like Kerry Kittles too.
Wait, where were you in the draft?
We were at 8.
8, okay.
We like, this is our guy.
Yeah.
So the night before the draft, Cal is staying at the Radisson in Secaucus.
I know. I've stayed there.
Top floor suite.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Arn comes in and the parents.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
And John Nash was our GM. Cal is our president.
Yeah.
And they had a meeting. And the next day, Cal says, we're going to go in a different direction. I'm like, well, there's a threat. He might go play in Italy.
Right.
There's all that, that he's not, I can't afford this. I'm a 34-year-old.
Yeah.
And we go, we draft Kerry Kittles, who had a really nice career. He
Great
had
player.
some knee issues at Villanova and does well for us. And we play, fast forward, so the story, they get, Charlotte drafts him, trades him for Vlade, the rest is history.
Who wanted to retire because he didn't want to leave.
Right.
Jerry West coerced him, let's just say.
And the funny, the following year it was the McGrady draft.
Yeah.
And we had Tracy come in, and Tracy was good. Tracy had a hamstring that he was dealing with, but was not Kobe.
Yeah.
Like there was different.
Yeah.
So fast forward to the 02 finals.
Yes.
So we were in the Meadowlands, 4-0 sweep.
Yeah.
And here I am, walking down the hall.
Yeah.
And here's Kobe, with Kobe
boy.
walking down, and he walks past me.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Hey." And I turn around, he goes, "I would have come."
God.
And
It's bad enough you just lost the final. He's got to tell you that.
God, my heart
like the
sunk. I
dagger.
was like, yeah, I know you would have come if we would have drafted. I'd probably still be there. We would have had
Bobby.
But no, to this day, I always say it's the greatest draft workouts I've ever seen.
I bet.
Really, and I think Jerry West had talked about it, and I think Byron might have been in the gym.
No, it was Michael Cooper.
Michael Cooper.
And Coop could barely keep up with him. He was retired, but, one of the greatest defenders in the history of the NBA, and the kid, kind of took him to school.
Yeah.
It was a great
terrific
story.
player.
Thanks for sharing that, Bobby.
Thank
you for coming on the Legends of Sport podcast. Thank you for everything you and everyone do here at the Sports Business Classroom. It's really inspiring.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hopefully this is the first year of many at All-Star Weekend.
It's been a terrific week so far.
I appreciate it.
No,
Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, we had such a great time filming live to kick off NBA All-Star Weekend with NBA Summer League and Sports Business Classroom. Thanks to our friends Albert Hall, Warren Legary, Bobby Marks, and their entire team at NBA All-Star. Thanks to our producer, Carlin Barker, as well as our editors, Sean Gosser and Addison Shao. Thanks, everyone, for joining us for this episode of the podcast. We absolutely love all our loyal followers. Please tell all your friends to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Legends of Sport, and our Instagram at Legends of Sport. And my photography can be found on Instagram at ADB Photo Inc. Please check out the discount link to our friends at Muggsy. We absolutely love Muggsy's clothes. And the discount link to our friends at You Should, the best way you should protect your skin for work, play, and everyday life. Thanks again, folks. We'll be back next week with another great episode of the Legends of Sport podcast.